Sorry, Wendy.
Oh,
That's
okay.
unbelievable. I didn't mean to.
As she faints. For 7 years, I was traveling a lot on WestJet. And early on, I just picked up the phone one day and said, will you give me free flights? I'll write poems for the passengers. And she said, yes. Somebody I didn't know. She said, yes. And so for 7 years, I did that. And then I wrote a poem for somebody.
I'm just going to push this towards you a bit, Wendy.
And then I wrote a poem
There
for
you
somebody who, okay, I wrote a poem for someone, for a friend. And he said, and then I said to him, well, you're not giving me a lot of information here. And he said, well, he's on the cover of Maclean's this week. So if you pick up a copy, you'll get more information. So I wrote the poem for this person and gave it to him, gave it to this other person who then gave it to the person I wrote it for, who then for 5 years or 7, I can't remember, sponsored Random Acts of Poetry. So I never gave up on the possible power of poetry. I mean, thousands of dollars. And so I got a wonderful email yesterday, well, 2 days ago, from an Inuit woman who was a girl when I met her in Torn Gap Mountains National Park, where I went twice to work with Inuit students and teach them how to be poets. And her name is Chaim Anderson, and she lives in Northern Labrador. And she said, happy birthday, Wendy Morton. I will never forget your name and your energy. I'm so grateful of the time me, very young, and you in your prime, spent creating poems and stories for the next generation, even the generation before us, to read. What a gift. What a gift. So I figured that poetry needed to be more than just a book, just my own book. So I said, well, I'm going to go into schools and I'm going to teach students how to write poems for their elders and see what happens. And what happened were these beautiful books. These beautiful books designed by Rhonda Gantz. And I'm going to put them out for you guys to look at. Please don't steal them, even if you feel like it. In the Okanagan, Vernon, Port Alberni, Clarence Fulton Secondary, oh my, but wonderful times and wonderful books, walking through the generations. Anyway, so I'd like you to look at these books. and how I introduced these students to poetry, and they sat down with their elders and wrote poems. And for them, for the elders, for me, for all of us, The Drums of Hope. That's the title of one of the books. And oh my, and the launches, the book launches. So if I'm proud of anything more than just the books that I've published, I am proud of the Elder Project. And I'm still in touch, as you can see, with some of the students who are adults now. And so I'm just going to read you a couple poems. And this book was a book that I'm most proud of this book. What Were Their Dreams? I went to Port Alberni and I sat down with elders and they told me their stories. And I learned the history of the place. And their stories, which then led me to the Elder Project. So I feel like this is my, let's see, third day as somebody who's 81, which seems incredibly old. So I feel like I've done something, and the something I've done are the Elder Projects. And so I would be pleased to have you look at them. And they're online also. And I met Dolly McRae, who kind of led me into it. And hers was the first poem I wrote. And she introduced me to a world I had no idea about. And I felt it was important for me to know it and for me to write poems about it that would make a difference. I don't know if they want to come in. Okay, Dolly. We took the train to Prince Rupert, the ferry to Campbell River, the bus to Port Alberni. We came at night, thought it was a hospital. We were all strangers. I scrubbed the pots, scrubbed the floor, scrubbed the stairs, ironed the laundry. I was quiet. I read. No one hit me. One day I heard yelling. I hid. Heard someone I knew fall down the stairs. I never saw her again. But the life before, the gardens, game, fish, berries, how well we lived, our family, our language, our life. And Huey. I saw my grandma die. She had her raincoat over her head, was going to take me across the Somas in her canoe. A car hit her. We had our language, our life. In September 1940, the Indian agent went from house to house, grabbed the kids, residential school. I cried every night. I got TB in 1942, went to the hospital by steamship, train, all the Aboriginal kids there. I cried again, stayed in bed all the time. Some kids died. I got better, went back to school. One supervisor, he was nice to me, gave me newspapers. Then he touched me. We took food out of garbage cans, stole beets, potatoes from the gardens, roasted them over an open fire. We remembered. Even in winter, we ate rotten apples, got caught, strapped with a horse harness, my hands bleeding. They took my language. They took it. Now let's do one more. When I was born, my mother went to Nettle Island, showed me to our people. She told me this. I grew up on River Road. I don't want to remember those years at residential school. At home, we didn't speak our language. My parents knew we'd be beaten for it. My dad hitchhiked to Victoria, got us out into public school. He was a fisherman, a pile driver, broke his back. He was always an artist. He got famous. I quit school in '55, worked in the plywood mill, the fish packers, the sawmill. We always sat at the back of the bus. What do people see when they see us? A drunk Indian? Nobody says it. It's hidden. If you listen, you can hear it. Thank you. I'll put these on the table so you can look at them later. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. And I think we'll just take a 5-minute break now and have a chance to look at these books and just resonate with these stories that are so important for us to hear, I think, especially at this time, and really reflecting on that work that you did, and such a gift for you to share with us that is, you know, something so important to you, Wendy. Yeah, so 5 more minutes, and then we are going to come back and hear Henry Doyle's reading. So just a little bit now. Just to let everyone know that there are bathrooms downstairs. If you will turn on the escalators down and to your right, sort of winding around there to the far right. Yeah.
Down by elevator.
And so and you can get Dana. You find Dana is there. Yeah, Dana's there. Just have to go around.
Well, I took it up. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, I love shower. This is good. I
didn't read the newsletter this week. I can't remember if I glanced through it or not. Do you want me to find a picture of Mike and write something?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right?
I think we have to have something in the newsletter.
Well, we do. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be, yeah. So this week, I actually have to go to Vancouver, and I won't be back till Wednesday morning.
And so once in a while I have to do the newsletter a day late. So I'm planning to get it out on Wednesday morning, Wednesday sort of midday to mid-afternoon in that zone. It'll just be one day late. So that's the time frame. So maybe what I'll do is tomorrow I'll start a draft, and I'll just put the date, which will be the date of this coming Wednesday, and you'll know then. And I'll take some stuff out that's from this week, and wherever. Yeah, I think it should be at the top. Like, how did we do that? We've done that a couple
We
times.
did that for Gerard Rowe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I'm just gonna pop in tomorrow to the celebration.
Are you okay?
I don't feel like staying like all
Yeah. Okay, no, thanks.
I know there's a
for
few of us
sharing that.
but I don't
Absolutely,
know,
I
yeah.
did hear the news, and I did
Yeah.
feel really sad I couldn't come to that event when you guys did that book for him. I was in Vancouver, and I would have really loved to have been there. But I'm glad to know that happened.
Yeah.
That it must have meant a lot to him, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could still go out to eat ahead of time, and it was a big party.
Yeah, good. Oh, I'll always remember his voice and his poems, and yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, thanks, Rhonda. Yeah. Oh my goodness, it's such a time, I find right these days, on top of everything, the pandemic and the other thing, it just seems I've known so many people who have passed away. Like, obviously this is always a cycle, but it just feels in the last year, it's just an acceleration somehow. I don't know, is it just me? You feel that too? Yeah. And not just the COVID thing, I mean, either, but just so many people like succumbing to this or that, and just feeling like it's too soon. And yeah. We can't have a long break here.
Yeah,
That was
I forgot to say that all the couplets were from
everybody else saying.
Yeah, say that that's from everyone.
Don't see our other guest. I want to chat with
I think he probably went to okay. Is that there?
Yeah, sure.
What's the bag?
The bag.
I think we should get started. Okay, I'm just going to ask everyone to make their way back to their chairs now. I will, yeah. We're going to get started again in about a minute. The basket, yeah. Thank you.
No, I don't have any
I
money.
am so bad at remembering that. Yes, please. Yeah. I'm fired,
I
right?
remember.
All right, we're going to get started again.
Might say so.
Yeah, the basket is coming around. I did forget to mention that we do, if people can afford to put in $5, that we really, or whatever you can afford, we appreciate it. And if you can't, that's okay too. We're happy that you're here. Okay, and just before we get started, Barbara wanted me to let you know that these little couplet noodles these couplets were written by many people who were solicited and invited and encouraged to write couplets for Wendy. So yeah, it's a community endeavor. We cooked it up.
It feels like we're in your dining room.
That'd be more comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're ready to start. Is Zoe around to just turn off the escalator? It just a little bit less noise, or Dana. Oh, there. Oh, here's it. Thank you so much.
Here you go. Pile of money.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thanks, Barbara. Okay, that's the noise. That means we're ready to start. It's like in the hockey game or something, the whistle. All right, it is now my pleasure to introduce you to our featured poet, a guest poet who has traveled from Vancouver to be with us this evening. And we're so happy to welcome you here to Planet Earth Poetry, Henry Doyle. And he lives and works in Vancouver's downtown Eastside, a longtime member of Downtown Eastside Writing Collective. Henry has published work in multiple literary magazines and the anthologies B6A, and From the Heart of It All. He has won Geist Downtown Eastside Jamboree Writing Contest and Muriel's Journey Poetry Prize. No Shelter is published by Anvil Press 2021.
And I found a little quotation, a write-up in the Tyee about Henry, an interview in which he said, "Writing is my pressure valve." So on that note, we welcome you, Henry.
Thank you. Happy birthday, Wendy. Happy birthday.
How's the mic for you?
I guess it's all right.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'd like to just, this book was, it took a while. It took a lot of work, and I don't think if it wasn't for Thursday's Writing Collective and everyone that's gone there. And I also like to thank my mentor, if you know Lamb. She is a really big part of this. She really, we did a lot of work doing this book. So I'd like to really like thank her very much. She really, she really pushed me to write about when I was younger and foster homes and stuff like that. So on that note, I'm going to start out with the house on Cooper Street. So many hours riding by train, bus, and car. Just another foster home. This time, 6 kids and a 3-story house full of rats. The Seal Test Dairy Factory is across the street. At 5 a.m., the sound of air brakes from the milk trucks turning the corner always wakes me up. I love my little room at the back, a gray cot, a dresser, and an escape route. I climb out my window onto the back door overhang, then drop down to raid the factory dumpsters for the return milk jugs with little holes in them. Cast them in again at the corner stores. Buy comic books, chocolate milk, chips, and candy bars. But most of all, Hot Wheel cars are my favorite. Each weekend, I join the neighborhood kids behind the Ottawa Boys Club. Lay down plastic tracks on the hill. Everybody's racing, hoping to win. This one is called The Hippies. A beating after supper puts me on the run. 9 years old, no coat, just a t-shirt. I run through the September downpour, heading for the National Arts Center at the back of the canal. I stop wide-eyed. A dozen or more hippies are camped out under the overhang. Dressed in army fatigues and tie-eyed shirts, they rise from their sleeping bags. Picking up a blanket, a woman inches forward. Long blonde hair, big green eyes. A colorful skirt hanging down to her bare feet. She stretches out her hand, trying to coax me over. Like a trapped animal with nowhere to go, I take a step forward. She wraps me in a thick, warm blanket around me. Other women come over. One dries off my hair with a towel. A guy with long hair and a beard gives me an open can of beans. Sits beside me and starts playing guitar. Wish you were my parents, I say. The woman who gave me the blanket sits beside me all night long. The next morning, I walk with them to the bus station. Half of them are leaving for New York, the other half for Toronto. I wave goodbye and head for the highway to hitchhike and follow them. But the police nab me before I do. So that was funny. Yeah, I'm going to read the different parts of my life now. I'm going to. This is when I'm older. I learned how to box in jail, and I started boxing, almost turning pro when I got out. So this is called Gladiator. In society, I'm terrified, no confidence, no hope. But when I step into that square circle, I have no fear. Climbing those steel stairs, pulling the ropes, I'm a gladiator. Crowds cheer and boo me. Through blood and sweat, I wear an invisible smile. At 139 pounds, I'm a dirty, hateful fighter. After doing 2 years in jail with a year's dead time, beaten by men twice my size, my soul's rage is searching for honor. After hundreds of fights in Hull, Ottawa, Buffalo, and Montreal, I become my own country, my own king. Okay, so I'll read one more boxing poem. This is called Beautiful Loser. The long bus ride from Montreal back to Ottawa, body and spirit in a fog. We stop at a highway restaurant. Everyone is talking about that last fight, my fight. How I got knocked down by a guy 10 pounds heavier than me. Twice in the first, twice in the second, and twice in the third. Grabbed those ropes, pulled myself up into more and more punishment. The crowd going crazy. I sit far off in the corner booth, 2 blackened eyes, blooded tissues up my nose. My trainer comes up to me. How you doing, kid? This is the 4th fight in a row. I feel like a loser, coach. Kid, he grabs my shoulder. You might have lost that fight tonight, but you're beautiful at it. Beautiful. Let's get into this stuff. Yeah, this one's called Down and Out in Ottawa. Ottawa is my bad luck city. Haven't been back in 10 years. No wonder the clutch blew on my Triumph. The Sally Ann lets me park it in the back of the building. I stay for 18 months in the basement dormitory while my bike gets rebuilt, a ripple in my life. $6 a night for a bed, $42 a week, meals not included. Church mandatory on Sundays. 20 cots with gray army-style bedding. Beside them, metal chairs with tin ashtrays. Every couple of feet, a sign on the wall reads, "Attention, if you smoke in bed, make sure you have 1 foot on the floor at all times." Worn wooden pews, old winos, war vets, with their potato faces, mushroom noses, and alka-velvet breaths, keep me company. Time hangs off their melting faces, melting skin, as they doze. I'm wide awake, my nerves digging their way out of me. I leave after the morning service, my unwashed hair hanging down past my shoulders, tattered blue jeans and tucked inside my cowboy boots. Yeah. Holes in my soles, stuffed with cardboard, heels worn down to wood and nails, grinding on the sidewalk, wandering around lost in my own hometown. I wrote this poem. It's about a cat. It's called Odin. At 7 a.m., I get off the bus. Outside the scrap metal yard, a mile long of flatbed trucks. Inside the fence, a line of over 20 cats. One cat in front with thick, long black fur, striped with white from top to his huge head to his back, and only one eye. I named him Odin, after the god of Valhalla, who gave up an eye for knowledge. The night guard opens the gates. They're waiting for you, kid. Every day I walk through the yard while all the cats follow me, kittens clawing up the side of my jeans, eager for breakfast. By the time I get to the office, I'm covered in kittens. Putting away the gear one night, the night crew laughs. Maybe we should build these cats a doghouse. By the end of the week, they built the biggest doghouse I've ever seen. Painted orange, 4 by 3 feet, a tin roof over wooden frame. Different size entry holes cut into the sides. Interior insulation with carpet patches. At 4 p.m., the shredder shuts down. The sound of grinding stops. Cats emerge from nowhere, taking over the yard, following me with their meows. Just like old Stanley showed me, I grabbed a 50-pound bag of cat food from the stores, then haul it to the doghouse. Kittens are fed first with small bowls of food and milk. A huge steel bowl filled for the others. Odin is a killer. Any threat to his regime found dead in the morning. He answers his name, but never lets me touch him. Just watches me from 3 feet away as I talk, throwing him treats. Years later, I'll still remember how he'd come to the fence to say goodbye every night, watching me leave with his one green eye glowing. This one is called Ghost in the Closet. I move into this rooming house. There's an opening because some poor dude hung himself in the closet. The landlord nails the closet door shut with 6 nails. He tells me he's taken $10 off my rent because of the closet space. Great, more beer money, I think. You're not scared of ghosts, are you, Joe? Why should I be? The closet door is nailed shut. I get a 12-pack from the beer store, then buy a hammer at the hardware store. Go back to my little room and take out all the nails from the closet, just in case the ghosts want it out. This is called Refugees from Nowhere. I was on the streets for a few years in Vancouver. You know, we working the labor pools and stuff. This is called Refugees from Nowhere. I stand in a long line waiting for the city shelter doors to open down on Cadover Street. The cop van pulls up and they start handing out new sleeping bags like we are refugees from nowhere. We're each given a mat on the floor, the gym floor, a pillow and a gray blanket. I ask for a wake-up call for 5 a.m. My brand new construction boots tied together and hang around my neck. I come back from the toilet in the middle of the night, stepped into the low light stink and noticed we all look like praying fast We all look like plane crash victims in zipper bags. Okay. Room and House Blues. I sit here by my TV, turn away from the pizza commercials, peel myself off my dumpster bin lazy boy. Look into my cupboard, only Kraft dinner, stale brown bread, and peanut butter. A food bank Skid Row survival kit. I head out in the winter rain for the soup kitchen that gives free meals with religion. I stand there hungry, a piece of cardboard for an umbrella. Take a seat beside some dude who looks 20 years older than he really is and smells like an open bottle of Listerine. On the other side is a little old man curled up in his chair as if it were a bed, stinking of urine. He shivers the cold streets off his body, looking around with saucer eyes if bombs are going off around us, as if bombs are going off around us. Then a 20-minute sermon for a 3-minute meal. I stand up against the back wall, wishing for a blindfold and that last cigarette. We're packed in there like starving cattle on the way to Vonnegut's slaughterhouse. Okay. How much time do we got? We're okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. This one is Killing Me the Rest of the Way, and it's for Al Purdy. The bar is closed, the door is locked, the bartender is cashing out. The waitress with big pancake breasts is counting tips. The barroom cleaner puts chairs on tables. The end of another slave labor pool work week. I sit finishing off a mug of beer, empty mugs in front of me. I stare into the mirror behind the bar. Long tangled cement dust hair, hard and tortured hands, hard hat, work gloves, tool belt, hammer, nails scattered out onto the bar. It's been a week of digging holes for jackhammering 4 stories underground. I look across the deserted bar. Drink up, Joe. Hell is closed. The bartender laughs out the side of his mouth, killing me the rest of the way. That's for Al Purdy. I was thinking of Al Purdy, and I wrote that. For him. Yeah, I got another one here. Oh yes, this one is called Enemy in the Mirror. There's a small towel on my mirror again. I'm hiding from myself again, but peek at the enemy anyway. Red face, long unwashed, 4:30 a.m. hair, wide, watery blue eyes with red alligators swimming in them. I see a thief, a cheat, a rat, an outlaw, a hater of self, a working class loser, or an unknown hero, but should shave anyways before work. Yeah, this one, I wrote this one years ago, but I just kept notes. There was a guy trying to commit suicide jumping off the building. Because this one's named Welfare Wednesdays kills more people than bombs. Hastings is closed off from Main Street all the way down to Pigeon Park. Cop cars, fire trucks, floodlights, making night into day. The crowds grow, hoping for a show. People set up lawn chairs in the middle of Hastings, like they're at a drive-in. Skateboarders fly down the emptiness like dragonflies skimming on a pond, zigzagging around everything. It's like a street party or the gathering for a town hanging. A 20-year-old jumper, debt to his dealer, has climbed over the railing on the roof across the street. I sit at my window, drinking a beer, thinking about wild horses running in the rain. Cops roam around, telling the shouters to shut up. The copper on the billhorn, please, stop telling the poor man to jump. Finally, they talk the young dude down. We all cheer, as if the Canucks have just scored the game-winning goal. And I wish they would do that more often. Eh? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the book is called No Shelter. So I took the job at the Maine and Hastings city washrooms and I still kept my other job part-time at the SROs and stuff like that. But I decided to take this job to get more in depth and write about the downtown Eastside a lot more than I ever did. So this gave me the opportunity. I brought my journal and yeah, I did. So I did a lot of writing, and this one is called No Shelter, the name of the book. One morning at work, I hear an old man crying as I walk over to the last stall. The smell of shit grows stronger. Everything okay in there, buddy? I asked. The stall door is partly open. The man inside has wavy gray hair and wears an oversized tweed jacket, ashamed and confused at the same time. He's naked from the waist down. His bright green eyes stare at his soiled pants on the floor. His hands spread apart in surrender. I had to sleep on the street last night. No room at the shelter. I had a bad accident in my pants, he says in an elegant, intelligent voice. What do you need? I'm the janitor here. Size 32, underwear, socks. But first, he has to clean himself up. I run to the paper dispensary towel, wet a stack, and return to the stall. Here, take this. Don't worry about the mess. Then I run up to the First United Church to get him underwear, pants, but they don't have any socks. I give him time. I stop at the bar for a quick beer. Four gulps later, I'm off, back to the washrooms. He's still in the stall. I give him the clothes, peel off my winter work socks, and hand them to him. I won't ever see him again, and I hope he's okay. So, did that one. Oh, this one is called Aftermath. It's 4:30 a.m. A big rig ladder truck, fire truck, thunderclaps around my corner, violently shaking me awake. I puke while brushing my teeth. I haven't showered in days. I put on hard crutched socks, underwear, black t-shirt. Dickies work pants, the kind with all those great pockets, and ugly steel-toed boots. In the kitchen, there are 3 open, warm beers and 4 T3s. I chew them, thinking of blackboard chalk. washed them down with beer. I marched to a 4-story, 100-year-old SRO building with no elevator, lives jammed into 100 6-by-8 rooms. No one ever calls me by name, just boss. The dozen keys and brick-sized 2-way radio hanging off my work belt reminds them of doing time. They tell me, you get to go home from this place, but we're stuck here, boss. I do a building check. 24 toilets, 12 showers, 18 extra large garbage cans, a soldier surveying a battlefield. On the aftermath of Welfare Wednesday, blood spattered bathroom walls, shit plugged toilets, overflowing sharp containers, busted in by addicts scrounging for dregs of old blood with heroin in used syringes. Batons of mental health workers and cops swarm in to this open door asylum. Okay.
One or two more?
Sure. Okay. How about there was one there, I don't spend a minute. I want to find this other one there. Where are you, man? It's called Sunday Morning Sidewalk. Where are you? Okay, I'll read this one. The room, Oppenheimer Park Lodge. Another concrete 8-by-10-foot room. The suicide windows open only 6 inches out onto a back alley. I fight off hundreds of cockroaches on the kitchen counter. Beside the unmade single bed, a writing desk with a lamp, and my old manual typewriter. Heaps of paper, dead-end poems, crumpled inside a green steel garbage can. My therapist is a bartender at the Empress Tavern. She pours me a pint, asks me how I'm doing. I feel like Han Solo in Kryptonite, I tell her. I reply, there's posters on my wall. That frozen grimace, hands locked in surrender. So, one more? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Hey?
That was the last poem.
The last poem. Oh, I think that was it, yeah. Through all this. Okay. Yep. This is called Through All This. Born through all this. A 3-story house full of rats. Lived through all this. Dirty fossil home to dirty fossil. Ran alone through all this. Slept under bridges through all this. Kept warm with pain and hate. Loved through all this. A flower that I didn't know how to water. Drank through all this. Skid row, skid row, skid row. Worked slave labor to survive through all this. Lost myself through all this. Found myself through all this. Typed down my madness through all this. Through all this. Felt real. Thank you.